Now, I was actually in the breakout room with my daughter. I don't know if she's in the crowd right there. And she was making fun of my smile. She was like, he smiles crooked, he smiles crooked. And she was like telling everybody this. She was his smile is crooked, it's from the military. And I'm like, and I was like, no, it's actually not from the military. And I'm actually going to share why my smile is crooked here for a second. I've never shared this with anybody. My wife is the only person who knows this story. And the reason it's crooked is because in 2009, we literally, when you say people struggle, I don't even think that you can explain my situation at that point. We owned a house. We were 4 months behind on the mortgage. We had to borrow money from my mother-in-law's mom. She's actually here right now, which we were never able to pay back because she passed away. I feel bad about that. Just to catch up on our mortgage, we lost that house, foreclosed, and we just racked up the debt. We racked up the debt. I was so committed to making the business work. I did not want to work for somebody else. I wanted to be my own boss. People said, go back to school, get a job. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do. I knew that's not what I wanted to do. Not only did we go into debt, we had to move to a crappy apartment. We didn't have money for food. We actually literally had a food order from our church. They came over, most embarrassing thing ever. Went to our bishop. They had to pay for our utility bills. They had to pay for our Verizon bill because we couldn't pay that. They couldn't pay for our mortgage because you can't do that. But it really was a trying time in my life. So we were so stressed out. We were literally stressed to the bone. I mean, you couldn't get more stressed than that. I actually got to the point, and the reason I brought up religion is because one day my wife came up to me and she's like, let's go to church. And I was so stressed, broke, didn't have money, lost our house, and I didn't know who to blame, so I blamed God. I blamed my sponsor. I blamed everybody in my life. I really didn't want to live at that point. I was very, very frustrated, very, very stressed, and I told my wife, I'm not going to church. You go by yourself. I'm not going. If he really loved us, he wouldn't put us in this situation. And that was really hard for me because that's my life. We were married in the temple, and that was my life, and I blamed him. And you know what? I woke up the next morning, and my face was completely paralyzed. Bells Palsy. And because of the stress. The doctor said it was from stress. But you know what I really believe it was? I believe it was our God slapped me in the face, and he said, take responsibility for your life. You are responsible for your failures. You are responsible for your success. It's not my fault. It's not your wife's fault. It's not anybody's fault but you. And when I really realized I needed to take responsibility for my actions, my struggles, where I was, I made it happen. And I'm so glad he didn't punch me in the face. But yeah, I got it back mostly. You can tell I'm smiling sometimes, so I'm not smirking at you when we're in pictures. But I tell you that story because it was a real big impact on my life. And I can go on and on about how much money we're making now and all the success that we're having. But you know what really makes me happy? When I see my team succeed. I've been holding a daily webinar every day for a year. And at first, nobody was succeeding, just like normal. I kept plugging them in. Dave and Dave said, do the 8 core commitments. Guess what I made my daily assignment? the 8 core commitments. I just reworded it a little bit different to kind of trick them. But trick them into doing it. But they did it. And you know what? I had the privilege of sponsoring people like Kevin Sousa, I don't know where you're at, where he met his brother that he never knew he had from a blog post. I had the privilege of sponsoring someone named Robert Brown. I don't know where you're at, Robert. I met him in San Diego. He was at the $25 level. It's the $25 level. I shook his hand, and he just had this passion. He had this belief in his eyes, and I believed in him that he can make it happen. And not only is he all in now, he had $11,000 a month 4 months later in his business. He sponsored a guy named Travis Holder, Travis, who had an $8,000 month just last month, and he quit his job. Travis sponsored a guy 5 months ago, John Penberthy, $35,000 in February. And these are short periods of time. This is 4 or 5 months into the business. What did they do? They plugged into our daily action plan, which I got from Dave. They plugged in, they followed it. I told them exactly to blog daily. I told them to market daily. I told them to listen to personal development, to get on our mindset call that Paul does. Some people ask for the secret. We just take daily action. Daily action on the 8 core commitments. But the bottom line is, I love what I do now. I was calculating our income for last month, and we actually made $42,000 last month. And our life's never been better, but I really, truly love what I do.